Hey guys, it's Adam here, 1/3 of the hormonal werewolves. And yeah, I absolutely hate bugs. Don't know if you know that about me. But one thing that I do love are monster movies. Giant monster movies, to be more precise. And as it turns out, a lot of the moviegoers from the 50s and 60s and even before that felt the same way that I do. And there is just a smorgasbord of giant monster movies involving insects. A lot of these movies were introduced to me by the Great Book of Movie Monsters by Jan Stacy and Ryder Syverson, which treated all of these movies as if they actually happened. It was almost like reading an encyclopedia of factual information about these monsters. And I thought that I would do a little ratings video, 10-1, of my favorite giant bug movies that were first introduced to me when I was a kid reading the Great Book of Movie Monsters. So let's do it. Number 10. We have Monster from Green Hell, that was released on May 22nd, 1957.
Animals flee from Green Hell. This I have seen.
And there is something, perhaps even monsters, but a thing of nature, not of evil spirits.
This is the drone of death. The terrifying sound of the monstrous cosmic ray mutations unleashed upon the jungle from a rocket run wild.
This is, of course, a movie about giant killer wasps wreaking havoc in Africa. Come to discover that those wasps have been mutated by cosmic radiation and now enormous monstrosities that are wreaking havoc across the African countryside. It is a fun little movie, but let's address the elephant in the room. You really have to suspend disbelief that these are wasps. Either that or you've never seen a wasp before. They don't look like wasps whatsoever, but still, they are kind of fun monsters, particularly their little wings, the little motion, stop motion that they use to make their wings move in the film. Per the Great Book of Movie Monsters, what to do if you meet: grab a hornet-proof vest and some bug spray. That's not much help. Number 9. We have The Black Scorpion from 1957. In this film, giant black scorpions have been living for years inside a large Mexican volcano where they mutate into bigger and stronger monsters. The horrific creatures decide to burst free and attack everything in sight, pouring out en masse. Richard Denning, a geologist, and Carlos Mesquez try to lead a counterattack against the super creatures as they eat and destroy their way through Mexico to the very doors of Mexico City. So these scorpions are just great monster designs. William O'Brien, who actually was the creator of the stop motion effects from the original King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, and the Giant Behemoth, did the effects in this film. I don't know. I just love it. I love the derpy faces on all of the black scorpions that they show over and over and over again. Pretty silly, but scary at the same time. What to do if you meet: per the Great Book of Movie Monsters, stay north of the border. Yeah, that's kind of timely, isn't it? Number 8. The Giant Spider Invasion from 1976.
They came from another world to destroy the Earth. It was the Giant Spider Invasion.
With this movie, we really got two for the price of one. It's not only a giant insect film, it's also an invader from space film, as these giant spiders actually come from outer space. During a religious revivalist meeting in a small Wisconsin town, a flaming object from space crashes on a nearby farm and creates a tremendous hole in the earth. Soon, giant spiders emerge from the hole and begin invading the surrounding countryside, killing and destroying. A notoriously low-budget film, the spiders are ludicrous, but you have to say they have some charm to them. Am I right? I mean, they're essentially giant parade floats with like styrofoam legs sticking out of them. I don't know. For my money, this is what it's all about. A really fun movie to kick back, have a couple beers with your friends, and just basically laugh your ass off. Curiously, there is no what to do if you meet for this entry in the book. Number 7, The Beginning of the End, from 1957, directed by Burt Gordon, a name that will be brought up, mentioned a little bit later as well. This is a movie about giant grasshoppers. We already seem to be searching the bottom of the barrel here for killer insects. Grasshoppers don't seem as menacing as perhaps a spider or a wasp, but I guess if you're a farmer in the Midwest, you might have a different opinion about that. Farms in a small rural community seek government aid to help them resolve their mineral-depleted soil. Radioactive isotopes are then introduced into the soil to increase growth. Soon the local farmers find that their crops are growing faster and bigger than ever, but that the grasshoppers, which feed on radioactive produce, are growing to immense proportions too. Soon they begin ravaging the countryside by the thousands. Burt Cooper, as he did in most of his films, did the special effects himself. Rumor has it he did the special effects for this film in his garage. Gordon used a method he had used previously in a prior movie, King Dinosaur, which was just placing living creatures on still photographs to give the illusion that they were gigantic in proportion. The effects are pretty good, although they can get hokey from time to time. You might notice a grasshopper stepping off of a bridge and onto thin air. Definitely a cheesy one, but it's one that's a lot of fun. What to do if you meet: hide in cellar, use dog whistle, avoid Chicago. Number 6, Tarantula, from 1955. Earth versus the Spider almost made this list, but honestly, we already have one space spider invasion movie on the list, and there's only so many spider movies that we can add before it starts to get a little crowded. So we're going to go with Tarantula here. A scientist has been working for years to create a serum that will promote tissue growth through superglandular activity. He experiments with lab animals, creating huge mutations. Guinea pig the size of a dog, bugs the size of cats, and keeps them in cages. A former colleague attacks the scientist and injects him with the serum. On human, the effects are horrifying, causing cell deterioration and madness. During the struggle, an already treated tarantula escapes into the desert, and before you can say Rumpelstiltskin, a giant tarantula is attacking farms, eating cats, and people. This was a perennial favorite. As awesome as the spider is, and the effects in this film are incredible, a lot like the beginning of the end. When you see this spider from far away, and he's just sort of menacingly crawling forward through the desert, that's an actual spider used with matte paintings. But any kind of close-up, I mean, he looks just like a run-of-the-mill pipe cleaner spider that you might make at elementary school or buy at Spirit Halloween or what have you. But as awesome as the spider effects are, the scientist who is injected with the serum kind of steals the show. He's really grotesque. He kind of looks like Eric Stoltz from Mask, or Or maybe Eric Stoltz from The Fly Part 2. I don't know. He just turns into the filmography of Eric Stoltz. What to do if you meet. Watch for web. Throw Molotov cocktails. Number 5. Empire of the Ants from 1977. Now, the director of this film was Burt Gordon, once again, who also, we already talked about him in the beginning of the end segment. And he did the special effects very much the same way, and successful for the most part, I think, with just using actual ants and placing them in matte paintings and still photography to give them that really monstrous, giant effect. It's really creepy seeing them all bunched together and like crawling all over each other. That really bothered me when I was a kid. This movie was always on TBS for some reason when I was growing up, and I watched it every single time. I thought this movie was fantastic. This movie is loosely based on a short story by H.G. Wells from 1905. So even as awesome as all the giant ant carnage is, this movie goes completely off its rocker when it introduces when the queen ant is using her pheromones to make all the townspeople her slaves, like her mindless slaves. I wonder what queen ant pheromones smell like.
Smells like Bigfoot's dick.
What to do if you meet. Don't buy real estate in Florida. Number 4. The Deadly Mantis.
It's okay. See? Look. Oh my God.
It's from 1957. It's a Universal picture, so it could be debated whether the Deadly Mantis is actually a Universal monster or not. I'll say this: it has its own Crestwood House book, the orange one. So, right there, his status as a horror icon is confirmed. An Air Force crew based in the Arctic Circle on the DEW line is attacked by an unknown creature of gigantic size and destroyed. Soon Air Force jets are being knocked out of the sky by something flying many times faster than their jets. The object is so quick that it records as a blur. Soon, cities and towns everywhere are being attacked. The Deadly Mantis is loose. Just, kind of a typical 1950s giant monster movie, but what really stands out about this film is the monster itself. The Deadly Mantis just looks gorgeous. Some of the best special effects in the movie are when the mantis is flying. All those shots are pretty fantastic. What to do if you meet? Throw him the fly, or Mothra, it likes giant bugs, and run like hell. I mean, that's just impractical on every level. Number 3, The Monster That Challenged the World from 1957. This movie is about a giant sea mollusk. Is a mollusk an insect? I'm gonna say probably not, but I don't give a fuck. This movie's awesome, and the design is definitely insect-like. I mean, look at that thing and tell me that's not a bug. Unlike many monster movies from the 50s, the design of this monster really, really holds up. I mean, just look at that face. It's straight nightmare fuel. Atomic testing in the Pacific Ocean disturbs a monstrous egg dormant in the bottom of the sea for millions of years. The test creates an earthquake that releases the giant egg and hatches it. First, the monster attacks ships, but soon it heads towards land, where it attacks people, draining their blood. Soon, bodies are piling up everywhere. Now again, fantastic monster, fantastic design, but is this monster really challenging the world? I mean, what is he? 9 foot tall, 10 foot tall, which is pretty imposing, but probably not imposing enough to take on, an entire continent, let alone the entire world. Actually, during the entire runtime of the film, he only kills 9 people and 2 cows. So, what to do if you meet? Avoid pinchers and run. It's not fast on land. Yeah, that's like the first practical one we've had. Number 2. Them from 1954, the absolute cult classic about giant killer ants. We've talked about a lot of movies thus far, but this one is the cream of the crop. It's up there with some of the best 1950s science fiction films, The Thing from Another World, and The Day the Earth Stood Still. As iconic as this film is, and you know, it's influenced many others. You can't tell me that James Cameron wasn't heavily influenced by this movie when he penned Aliens. What with the catatonic little girl being the only survivor from her group. And later with the military having to go into the belly of the beast to eradicate the threat. Mysterious occurrences and deaths have been reported in New Mexico. A little girl is rescued by police, wandering aimlessly on the road. Later in the hospital, she screams, "Them! Them!" Hence the name of the movie. When formic acid, a substance produced by ants, is held under her nose.
What you need. Thank you.
Good, huh?
Dr. Medford, Sergeant Peterson, and FBI agent Graham discover that giant ants are loose. They find the ant colony and attack it with poison gas grenades. The colony dies, but 2 queens escape. What to do if you meet? Throw them packs of sugar, then run like hell. And number 1. The number 1 giant insect movie on my list. Could it be anyone else but the queen of monsters herself, Mothra. Mothra, one of the only Toho monsters that could actually stand toe-to-toe with Godzilla and defeat him. Mothra was released in partnership with Columbia Pictures in 1962. The idea for Mothra was conceived by Godzilla director Ishiro Honda as a way to entice female moviegoers to flock to the cinemas. It's actually when the year that this movie was made, the majority of moviegoers in Japan were female. Members of an expedition to Infant Island, a remote Pacific atoll, discover that A-bomb tests have made the entire island radioactive. They encounter a number of bizarre plants and creatures, including tiny humans, only 2 feet tall, who worship Mothra, a giant egg. An unscrupulous promoter steals 2 of the little people, a pair of identical singing twins, and takes them back to Japan to be made part of a nightclub act. On the island, Mothra's egg cracks, and she moves across the ocean, creating havoc to rescue the young ladies. Now, at times, as good as this movie is, at times it does feel like the entire reason it was made was just for the metamorphosis scene from caterpillar to butterfly on the TV tower. But you know what? It's worth it. It's totally worth it. One of the best scenes in the Toho catalog. What to do if you meet? Hide in basement. Don't kidnap 2-inch tall singing twins. You know, that's good advice if encountering Mothra, and also just good advice for life in general. I want to thank you guys for coming along with me on this bug hunt. Next week, we will resume regularly scheduled programming with me, Abby, and Ryan talking about the best and worst of retro horror films. But until then, thanks for joining me for this little episode, and we'll see you next week.
Everybody's out looking for him, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think he's gonna come back to? Back to his lair.
We'll be ready for him.